Welcome to the White Wall Sessions Radio. I'm your host, Dan Schaefer. On this week's episode, we feature LowRidingMoths, Baby D, and Crankshaft. If you'd like to know more about the artists on the show, visit thewhitewallsessions.com for features, links, and videos. LowRidingMoths are a two-piece indie pop band from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. The band is Mindy Negebauer on keys and vocals, and Ethan Dixon on guitar, bass, and vocals. While only a duo, the pair fills out the sound with pre-recorded samples interlaced with live instrumentation. Well, tonight we have LowRidingMoths here at the White Wall Sessions. We had a great time tonight. Welcome, Mindy Negebauer.
Yes.
And Ethan Dixon.
Hey, yo.
Now, you two are a music pair, but you're also a life pair, would you say? That's a silly word.
A life pair.
That just happened.
I've never seen that next to the little boxes. Life pair.
Coming soon.
Yeah. We started out as a couple. We started out as friends that were never going to get together. We did not want a relationship. We weren't looking for that.
Well, and then, too, I also I had this big belief that you'd never date anybody that you're in a band with. Well, that was later on down the line, but
yeah. When we got together, we both knew that we liked music and liked playing music, but we agreed that our tastes were too different and that it would complicate things. We'd never play music together.
Interesting. Okay.
But then she showed me some of the stuff she did when she was younger, and I was just like, you need to start doing this again. So I convinced her to buy some synths, and actually before there was a bunch of little cheap Casio keyboards.
Yeah, I have like a hoard of probably like 10.
10.
Did you have that little tiny one, like the trio?
I have the little tiny
We got
one.
a couple of those,
We have a couple little tiny ones. I've got a big Mondo Casio that's like this big. You have to use like your whole arms to carry it around.
So you had everything coming against you saying, don't start a band.
Yeah.
But you somehow weeded through that and said, let's start I mean, when did that happen?
We went to a music festival, and on the last day of the music festival, a guy was selling handmade instruments. We bought a cigar box electric ukulele.
Baritone.
And we didn't know it then, but it actually has a moth right on it. And it wasn't until after we named our band that we realized that. We were like, oh, it was there the whole time. We were the ones that were causing the dilemma of, no, we shouldn't do this. No. So we went home and we were eager to play with it, and we started playing with that, and he's like, you should get some effect pedals and see what you can come up with, you know. You're not really a guitarist, but you want to learn, try something.
He said that to you?
Yeah.
Mindy, okay.
And I was like, okay. So he picked them out. He's like, let's try them. And I got the Electro-Harmonix Holy Grail, which I use, and then a fuzz face.
Don't let fuzz face, yeah.
And I fell in love with that. And I was all like, effects are so cool. What? Like, I can do this? And and he's like, I use them on my guitar all the time. And I'm like, what if I use them with a keyboard? And he's like, how many effects are you going to want? I was, string them all together. How can I do it? Just like, I want to use effects on a keyboard. Like, I know how to play a keyboard. I'm not a whole huge experienced synth player by any means, but
it was her knowledge, or not her knowledge, but it was her willingness to want to learn these kinds of things, which would kind of like made me be like, okay, you know what? I could be in a band with her. I could totally actually make music. Well, then too, it's just like the other band I'm in, like Articles, we're a 2-piece instrumental sludge band, and it's really heavy, noisy, loud stuff. And
this is not,
and I kind of like that. I like being able to do two different things with the exact same stuff that I already have.
Sure. Back to that. So he introduced you to the world of effects, kicking down a door to a world that you hadn't seen before, right? And you jumped right through it, and now you're playing that keyboard. You're not just triggering loops. You're playing it.
Yes.
Playing the stuff. Tell me about that.
Well, the song building process is I get something stuck in my head. Either it's a guitar part or it's a rhythm. And I'll break it down and build it out until I've got a nice mastered track of what I want. And then, because I don't have 8 arms like an octopus, I'll start adding my layers, my bass, different little effects, accents that I want the song to have. Or I'll work up concepts for guitar or bass for him and be like, okay, so here's what it sounds like, on a low octave organ, and it sounds kind of cruddy, but maybe you can play this. And then I'll work on certain parts that I want to accent, and then I build the vocals with that. Or the vocals are the starter. It just depends. But it's always from the ground up. It's one little concept. A lot of ideas get chucked in the closet for a while, and then I go back because I can't get them out of my head. And I'm like, okay, how do I finish this? How do I move and progress with this? So it's like a grab bag of good treasures that I get to dig into, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that one's a good one. All right.
We've also gone through 3 different loopers.
Yes.
To get to the one that we're at right now.
Yes.
Because she abused them, or because they weren't right?
They weren't adequate.
I couldn't do enough stuff.
We started off with just a singular little boss looper, and then we needed more, so we went to a bigger boss looper.
And loved it.
We loved it, but it only had 14 slots. It was like, oh well.
And we filled that up like almost the first night with ideas. When we first started playing with it, and I was like, this is great, but I'm not going to want to offload these every time and then try to come back to an idea.
Yeah, and the looper then that we have currently right now, the Electro-Harmonix 45,000, that's one I've been wanting for a long time. And
he actually wanted it and knew about it before I did, and I was like, oh, what does it do? And he told me, and I was like, let's get it.
$700 later.
Yeah, we spend most of our money on music gear and going to shows.
So first of all, you said, I'm not an octopus, I don't have 8 arms. And then suddenly it's, I'm not 2 octopuses, I don't have 16 arms. And then you got more and more and more, right?
Right. And it was like, okay, well, he's a definite analog person, and he had always said, like, you got to know how to play an instrument. You got to do this. You can't just go up and sing a track. People that do that, it's called karaoke. And
Sorry,
and
my belief.
you need to have talent if you're going to be up in the public eye saying you're a musician, because there's nothing worse than people that fake it. So it's like, yeah, okay, well, I've made a lot of stuff on my computer. And he's like, well, let's get you out of there. And I'm like, okay. So it's been a learning process, definitely.
Eyes of green and legs of steel. His mouth will draw you in. His touch will make you squeal.
Baby D is the stage name of South Dakota rock singer-songwriter Dylan Daniels. The band is Daniels on guitar and vocals, Allie King on bass and vocals, Neil Stack on guitar, and Dylan Olson on drums.
I'm not your baby, don't call me girl. I'm not anything that you've seen before. And I'm not your sweetheart, I'm not your fake toy. Boy, I'm not your girl, I'm not your boy. And I'm not your fantasy, so don't even try. Don't think it's complimentary. Don't think it's cute or nice to box up my whole world into some stereotype. 'Cause you don't know the half of it, and you don't know my life. Just 'cause I saw it on the TV, it doesn't mean that it's real life. 'Cause I'm not your fantasy, no. So don't even try. Why can't you look me in the eye? Where is your dignity, your pride? Why can't you look me in the eye? Where is your dignity? Where's your pride? Well, I hate to break the news. Oh, to you, boy. But I'm not your. I'm not your joy. No, no. No. 1, 2, 3, 4. Get off, come down.
Well, we had a great afternoon here at the Whitewash Sessions with Baby D and band. Do you call yourself Baby D, or is there a band name?
We haven't figured it out yet. Right now it's Baby D and the band. We know that's been taken by a few folks in the past, so we're working on it. We're open to suggestions, but Baby D and the Baby D's, the Baby D's, Baby D and the band.
So we've seen Baby D before with the Rattle Trap. You were on season 3, I believe.
Yes.
What have you been doing since then? This is a fairly new lineup here, right?
Yeah, this lineup is super fresh. I think we're about, I don't know, we our tour kickoff show about 3 weeks back was our first time playing through a set live together as a band. Been practicing before then, obviously, but yeah, it's super fresh. So since the Rattle Trap, gone through a few lineups with Baby D and the band, but this has been the yeah, this has been the lineup we've settled on.
Can you introduce?
Yeah, so I'm Dylan Daniels, also known as Baby D. Dylan Olson is our drummer. Allie King is our bassist. And Neil Stack is our lead guitarist. Allie also does backup vocals.
So this band has only been together, like you say, a few months actually. But we were remarking about how tight the band is already, and particularly with the dynamics of these songs. You know, you go from soft to heavy to changing sections in the song. Do you write most of the songs?
Yeah, I write the songs. I think a lot of the tightness comes from like other lineups that helped write the songs and put them together, recording them. We had really good recordings to go off of, but also this crew is just super talented and super tight. But
Really good.
yeah.
Well, when you write the songs, are those dynamics in there when you write them, or does that happen with the band when you start playing?
A lot of them are in there. Like I like to explore the quiets and the louds, the explosions, but certainly there's like a whole another element that comes out when you put it with a band, and I don't know, their individual sounds come out of it, and we kind of figure out the flow of the song. So some of it's there beforehand, and a lot of it comes out later.
So it comes out when you bring a song to these guys. It starts at one way, and then does it end up? I mean, there's even some time signature changes in there. Some of those songs. So. That's not easy to do necessarily. Is that just happens when you're playing?
Well, I think you're probably referring to Siren. There's a 3/4
Yeah.
section in that one, and that was built into the song. But that was one that we all kind of pieced together. That and Kiss Kill were the two that, as our current lineup, really kind of fleshed out. So
Okay.
the others were recorded previously, and we, all added, I think, our unique things to it. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how was that process when the whole band was writing? Did you have an idea of what the song was going to be about first, or did it just come from sort of playing?
Yeah, D usually comes with like a skeleton, the chords, melody, lyrics, and then we all kind of work together to add in our own parts and figure out what we want to do. And yeah.
A lot of it was just playing around with it. I mean, we just kind of showed up in my basement and we plugged in and just kind of played around with a lot of the music and kind of 2 songs. I think it took us, was it 3 hours to kind of formulate the 2 songs that we recorded on our tour. And so just the excellent musicians that we are, just getting together, we had a lot of fun. And
Yeah, it shows because I mean there were some fantastic songs, and
Wait, that's a correction. These guys are excellent musicians. They make me sound a lot better.
there's some pretty personal songs in there. Do you write about yourself, or do you write sort of in third person? How do those?
Yeah, it's pretty autobiographical. I wish I could write in metaphor. It's really hard. It would save me a lot of like emotions, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like one of those things where it's hard to write about like your experiences and to be like really vulnerable, but also it's like, what do you have to lose? And there's a lot of people that have gone through similar things or can relate to it, and that's the most vulnerable parts are usually like the parts that people connect to the most. So kind of just get over it and put it out there.
Yeah. Do you feel you have something to say, or do you feel you need to write a song and you need something to write about? Or which comes first usually?
Usually the song starts with me just messing around with the melodies or whatever and kind of feeling out like the emotion of the song. A lot of times I'll record it and listen to it back, and then I'll kind of like hear what it's about. And then once the story kind of starts to emerge, then it's really like, all right, I got something to say, and it's, and that's when the lyrics come in. But
So when the whole band wrote the songs, is that kind of the same process that happened, or was it more you start playing and you start finding a song in there?
yeah, she kind of started off with some lyrics jotted down on a notebook paper. And then I think you kind of played around with your guitar a little bit and figured out the melodies like she was saying. And then she kind of brought it to the practice, and we all kind of pitched in and added our own little personality to it.
Sure. Well, it's working, let me tell you. How long have you been playing guitar, Neil?
oh goodness, since I was 16, so going on like 13 years, something like that. But on and off throughout that whole time. So previous to joining Baby D here, I hadn't really played guitar for a good year and a half very consistently. So yeah, so going on this tour and everything has been slowly, but it's kind of like riding a bike, you kind of just get it back after a little while playing there.
How about you, Allie? How long have you been playing bass?
Oh man, probably about 12 years, I this point. When I was younger, a friend of mine called me up, said, "We're starting a hardcore band. We want you to play bass." And I was like, "I don't know how to play bass." They're like, "We don't care. We think you'd be a great bass player." So that's kind of where it started. And Dee and I were in a metal band when they were like 16 or something ridiculous. And yeah.
Drums, Dylan?
Yeah, I've been playing for about 12 years too. I started off in 5th grade, that little band nerd that went to class with a snare drum and little glockenspiel. And so it just kind of escalated to being a rock drummer, I guess.
Yeah, that's cool. Tell me about this tour you went on. How did that come about? And where did you go?
Well, I definitely wanted to get out of town. I was contemplating either like Chicago or down south. And then I ran into a friend in Vermilion, where I live, from the band The Over Easies from Lawrence. And they were like, "You should definitely go to Lawrence." So ended up going that route. And we toured with the band The Over Easies from Lawrence. They were awesome to hang out with. They knew the area a little better than we did, and that's kind of where it came about. Just, I don't know, having connections and wanting to explore the area.
Sure. So Lawrence, Kansas. You went to Kansas City,
Yep.
Lincoln.
Yep, and Columbia, Missouri also.
You did some recording down there too. Tell me about that in Lawrence.
Yeah, we recorded at the Lawrence Public Library, which was pretty awesome. It was
Yes, people on the podcast, you heard that right. You
Yeah.
recorded at the library.
Lawrence Public Library, yeah.
And it's
Not
still
to
the
plug it.
library. It's not like a bar called the library.
No, it's not even a bar
By the
called
way,
the
this
library.
is the nicest library I've seen in my life. And for that small of a city or town, I mean, it's just, we were all blown away.
Stop, catch your breath, you're miles away, and you're lonely. Are you lying there with thoughts of me, or are you playing with all the boys out there, with all the girls that stare, with all the boys out there, with all the girls that stare? 'Cause you could blame it on your lonesome. 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 Stop, catch my breath. I'm right here, and I'm shaken by my thoughts tempt me tonight. I could be playing with all the girls out here, like that one over there, with all the girls around here, like that one over there. And I could blame it on my lonesome. I could blame it on my lonesome. I could blame it on my lonesome. I could blame it on my lonesome.
Crankshaft is the stage name of blues rock singer-songwriter Alex Larson. Currently based in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Alex is often joined on stage by his band, the Gear Grinders. Crankshaft gave a highly energetic performance, playing electric guitar with a kick drum on his right foot and a snare and hi-hat on the left.
Born in the Boatneck country, raised by a shovelhead, tied to the world behind me, pulling on a piece of thread. Weight on myself on my shoulders, strength on my mama and dad. Sidestepping pimps and rollers, trying to keep a level head. I wouldn't want it any other way. Can't escape the roots I'm tied to. Happy for my family and friends. I can eat the truth I want to, or chew on the advice you lend. I'm pushing with the passion inside me, running from regrets I have, hoping that the music will free me, working with my heart in hand. I wouldn't want it any other way. Can't deny the wisdom that you have, even when I know you're wrong. I listen to the world around me, because I know my time ain't long. When I die, bury me down deep, so I can't smell your bullshit. The earth is bound to consume me, like a left-handed cigarette. I wouldn't want it any other way. I wouldn't want it any other way.
Well, we are very excited that at the Whitewall Sessions, we welcome Alex Crankshaft Larson from Anoka, Minnesota. Welcome, Alex.
Thank you.
For our friends on radio, I got to just explain, this is one guy that played all this music. We've got a bass drum on your right foot, you got a snare drum on your left, and then a hi-hat with a tambourine on top, and then a gorgeous Silverstone guitar with through a Music Master bass amp with no pedals. How did you get that? How did you come to that tone?
I had the two of those things for a while, and I paired them up. I was amazed at the combination.
The guitar and the amp, right?
Yes, that was a good starting point.
It's got a fantastic tone. So do you have any idea what year those are?
I believe the Silvertone was made in 1963 and 1964, and the amp is from the early 70s.
How many combinations did you try before you got there? Or did you come across those first and that was it?
I partnered the two of them together, and it was a while after that when all of this came to fruition.
Did you play with other bands?
I played in a two-piece band with my brother, instrumental band called the Mojo Spleens. And I played in a three-piece acoustic band called the Mill City Mongrels.
Well, how did you start adding the drums in? Did you just start playing with the guitar and then felt you needed a stomp box or something and it grew to this?
It all started as a street performing project. That's kind of how Crankshaft came to be, and from there, I started playing in bars.
What was it like playing on the street? How did you play just in downtown Minneapolis, or did you play different cities and pick it up and move, or
I started at the Anoka Car Show.
at the Anoka Car Show? Okay.
Yes.
And how did that go over?
Good.
So how did you go from the street to the studio?
I'm trying to think of, I may have had a demo already released when I started street performing of the one-man band.
So you just sell a CD or something there on the street?
It was like a donation thing.
When you went to the studio, how many albums do you have? About 5 or 6 now?
Sounds about right.
Do you record by yourself?
No.
Who do you record with? Or what's your recording? Or what is the studio like for you? Do you bring in different musicians?
Yes. On the last release, yes.
So when you write the songs, you just do it on the guitar and then you kind of let them put their parts in, or do you kind of have an idea where it's going?
The songs are arranged and written by me, arranged to a guitar, and the functionality of the song is already laid out, and then the musicians accompany that.
Have you ever recorded an album on your own with you playing everything?
Yes.
How many of those did you do? And tell me about that process.
That was in 2008 or 9. I released an album with the one-man band, and I recorded the instrumentation on a inexpensive mixing board, and I utilized the panning, like the left-right panning, to give myself 2 tracks to work with for all of the instruments. And then I put vocals on top afterwards.
So this was like an old 4-track tape recorder then?
This was onto a computer.
Tell me about when you're writing songs, how does that happen? Do lyrics come to you? Does a story come to you? Because we had our wonderful neighbor, Jennifer White, said something that this guy sings about something. You know, you have really interesting stories. Where does that come from?
A rambling mind.
So do you write them when you're driving, or do you write them when you're walking, or you write them little bits here and there? How does that happen? You write them in the grocery store when you're looking for minestrone soup? How does it work?
Sometimes a line will come into fruition, like a verse or maybe a hook line or something, and I just jot it down and come back to it. And if I can write a song around what I was thinking about, sometimes metaphor, sometimes not. Anyway, the song kind of gets written around just a little fragment of an idea,
Does it ever come from just noodling around on the guitar and then the words come later, or is it usually an idea of something?
Sometimes I'll have a guitar riff kind of in my back pocket that I haven't done anything with, and I like it, and I may have lyrics that are waiting and unfinished that could partner up well with that. Other times I've written the structure of, verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus, and then put it all together instrument-wise. It's different every time.
Does it change when you write it, when you play it live and you get a reaction from the crowd? Or what does the crowd mean to you when you're playing? Do you see them, feel them, or do you just kind of play your own stuff?
It's very much part of the equation, for sure.
In what way?
Okay, I'll reference, I listened years ago when I was like maybe 19 years old. I was listening to an interview that the Readymen were doing, like on the radio, and they were like, so what do you think of the crowd? What do you think? And they said, you'll know when you have a good song if the crowd likes it, And that's kind of, I latched onto that interview that I heard, and that's kind of been the footprint for how I approach what I do and don't play live. Though I do play songs that I know don't go over well live, you kind of have to just be like, this is an important song. Perhaps I'll reach a person with it, And it's a hard thing to do because I kind of cut my teeth in like a juke joint atmosphere, no stage, playing on the floor at a bar. And
a background music almost? Or?
Well, I learned how to be assertive and aggressive at captivating a crowd. Though sometimes you do songs and they nosedive and you wonder why, because they mean a lot to me, you know, but they don't mean anything to the crowd. So it's kind of like, I don't know, you're walking a tightrope.
Yeah.
Papa's jeans got grease, Papa's jeans got mud. Papa's jeans got grease and mud, got grease and mud, got grease and mud. Papa's jeans got grease and mud, got grease and mud, got grease and mud. Papa's hands are rough, Papa's hands are tough. Papa's hands are rough and tough, are rough and tough, are rough and tough. Papa's hands are rough and tough, are rough and tough, are rough and tough. Papa's eyes seen work, Papa's eyes seen toil. Papa's eyes seen work and toil, seen work and toil, seen work and toil. Papa's eyes seen work and toil, seen work and toil, seen work and toil. It was better than before, and I knew it wouldn't last. When the head forgets the heart, the future runs into the past. A dog tired and trying, a dog tired and trying. The moon child is crying, dog tired and trying. Now I'm hanging from a cliff, I'm high as hell and feeling low. When the future is a free fall, the hardest part is letting go. I'm dog tired and trying, dog tired and trying. The moon child is a crying, dog tired and trying. Leave me now, you know I'm ready. Set these sorrows out to sea. Whisper a wish into the wind to light the flame inside of me. A dog tired and trying, a dog tired and trying. The moon child is crying, a dog tired and trying.
like to know more about the artists we feature, visit thewhitewallsessions.com. The White Wall Sessions Radio is recorded and produced at Last Stop Studios in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Last Stop Studios is located in the lower level of the Last Stop CD shop at 2121 East 10th Street in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Executive producers are Jeff Zuger and Doug Taylor. Head of broadcast engineering is Dave Palmer. Audio technicians are Chad Conrad, Carl Koiser, and Dave Palmer. Audio mixing is Chad Conrad. Associate producer is Michael Yeager. Scheduling and sales is Tom Eisner. I'm your host, Dan Schaefer. Join us again next week for another edition of the White Wall Sessions Radio.